Welcome back to Bombastic Nation and Ting and Ting and Ting. I'm Mr. Giant and I'm back with some more vibes for you. Yes, you know what I mean? And this one we're gonna, something that I've heard of a lot about, but I don't know the details of it. So hopefully I'm gonna get the details of it in this video here. It's the European Union Explained. Yes, I. Thank you all for watching this with me. Hey, hit that notification bell so you know when I'm uploading videos. It's generally at 6 p.m. every day, however, except for Saturday and Sunday. However, I am doing little extras here and there, so you know you're gonna know when them extras come up if you have that notification bell, kind of popped. You know what I mean? I say for lack of better term day. So you know what I mean? Let's get into this. I'm quite interested to see what explanation of the European Union is. Let's go ahead and YouTube and simmer.
Where is the European Union? Obviously here somewhere, but much like the European continent itself, which has an unclear boundary, the European Union also has some fuzzy edges to it. To start, the official members of the European Union are, in decreasing order of population, Germany, France, the United Kingdom, Italy, Spain, Poland, Romania, the Kingdom of the Netherlands, Greece, Belgium, Portugal, the Czech Republic, Hungary, Sweden, Austria, Bulgaria, Denmark, Slovakia, Finland, Ireland, Croatia, Lithuania, Latvia, Slovenia, Estonia, Cyprus, Luxembourg, and Malta. The edges of the EU will probably continue to expand further out as there are other countries in various stages of trying to become a member. How the EU works is hideously complicated and a story for another time, but for this video you need know only three things. First, countries pay membership dues, and second, vote on the laws they all must follow, and third, citizens of member countries are automatically European Union citizens as well.
Oh.
This last means that if you're a citizen of any of these countries, you are free to live and work and retire in any of the others, which is nice, especially.
They tried to form something like that in the Caribbean, and I believe it was called the West Indian Federation. And it was either in the 50s or the 60s when this was tried, they tried to form it. And the larger islands decided that they didn't want to have to parent pretty much the smaller islands. They figure, well, we are growing. Why should we take the responsibility to help these other little countries grow too? That's how it was explained to me in school. The reason why that federation didn't come into fruition. But let's check out the European Union here.
If you think your country is too big or too small or too hot or too cold, the European Union gives you options. By the way, did you notice how all three of these statements have asterisks attached to this unhelpful footnote? Well, get used to it. Europe loves asterisks that add exceptions to complicated agreements. These three, for example, point us towards the first bit of border fuzziness with Norway, Iceland, and Little Liechtenstein, none of which are in the European Union, but if you're an EU citizen, you can live in these countries, and Norwegians, Icelanders, or Liechtensteiners can live in yours. Why? In exchange for freedom of movement of people, they have to pay membership fees to the European Union, even though they aren't a part of it, and thus don't get a say in its laws that they still have to follow. This arrangement is the European Economic Area, and it sounds like a terrible deal were it not for that asterisk which grants EEA, but not EU members, a pass on some areas of law, notably farming and fishing, something a country like, say, Iceland might care quite a lot about running themselves. Between the European Union and the European Economic Area, the continent looks mostly covered with the notable exception of Switzerland, who remains neutral and fiercely independent, except for her participation in the Schengen area. If you're from a country that keeps her borders extremely clean and or well patrolled, the Schengen area is a bit mind-blowing because it's an agreement between countries to take a meh approach to borders. In the Schengen area, international boundaries look like this. No border officers or passport checks of any kind. You can walk from Lisbon to Tallinn without identification or the need to answer the question business or pleasure. For Switzerland, being part of Schengen but not part of the European Union means that non-Swiss can check in any time they like, but they can never stay. This kumbaya approach to borders isn't appreciated by everyone in the EU, most loudly the United Kingdom and Ireland, who argue that islands are different. Thus, to get onto these fair isles, you'll need a passport and a good reason. Britannia's reluctance to get fully involved with the EU brings us to the next topic, money. The European Union has its own fancy currency, the euro, used by the majority but not all of the European Union members. This economic union is called the Eurozone, and to join, a country must first reach certain financial goals, and lying about reaching those goals is certainly not something anyone would do. Most of the non-Eurozone members, when they meet the goals, will ditch their local currency in favor of the euro, but three of them, Denmark, Sweden, and of course the United Kingdom, have asterisks attached to the euro section of the treaty, giving giving them a permanent opt-out. And weirdly, 4 tiny European countries, Andorra, San Marino, Monaco, and Vatican City, have an asterisk giving them the exact reverse, the right to print and use euros as their money despite not being in the European Union at all. So that's the big picture.
That sounds
the
quite
EU,
complicated.
which makes all the rules, the Eurozone inside of it with a common currency, the European Economic Area outside of it where people can move freely, and the selective Schengen for countries that think borders just aren't worth the hassle. As you can see, there's some strange overlap with these borders, but we're not done talking about complications by a long shot, once again, because empire. So Portugal and Spain have islands from their colonial days that they've never parted with. These are the Madeira and Canary Islands off the coast of...
So what I'm understanding is that some of these countries wanted to keep their own autonomy intact. You know what I mean? So the asterisk was presented, giving them a little bit more leeway. You know what I mean? And I could understand places like England not wanting to go full-fledged in because they want to keep some sort of independence to themselves. You know what I mean? But it's interesting. You know what I mean? Smaller countries wouldn't be able to do that because they depend on the larger countries to help them through things. So then they probably had to make concessions in order to be part of it because they actually need the help coming from those big countries, because you know they could always go, nah man, we ain't helping you out. So that's kind of my understanding. If I'm wrong, hit me up in the comment section and let me know, because I'm learning this. Because you know why I'm saying it that way? Because if we don't learn about it, we're gonna keep making the same mistakes. You know what I'm saying?
Of Africa and the Azores well into the Atlantic. Because these islands are Spanish and Portuguese, they're part of the European Union as well. Adding a few islands to the EU's borders isn't a big deal until you consider France the queen of not letting go. She still holds on to a bunch of islands in the Caribbean, Reunion off the coast of Madagascar, and French Guiana in South America. As far as France is concerned, these are France too, which single-handedly extends the edge-to-edge distance of the European Union across a third of the Earth's circumference. Collectively, these bits of France, Spain, and Portugal are called the outermost regions, and they're the result of the simple answer to empire: just keep it. On the other hand, there's the United Kingdom, the master of maintaining complicated relationships with her quasi-former lands, and she's by no means alone in this on such an empire-happy continent. The Netherlands and Denmark and France, again, all have what the European Union calls overseas territories. They're not part of the European Union, instead they're a bottomless well of asterisks due to their complicated relationships with both the European Union and their associated countries, which makes it hard to say anything meaningful about them as a group, but in general, European Union law doesn't apply to these places, though in general, the people who live there are European Union citizens because in general, they have the citizenship of their associated country, so in general, they can live anywhere in the EU they want, but in general, other European Union citizens can't freely move to these territories, which makes these places a weird semi-permeable membrane of the European Union proper, and the final part we're going to talk about in detail, even though there are still many more one-off asterisks you might stumble upon, such as the Isle of Man, or those Spanish cities in North Africa, or Gibraltar, who pretends to be part of southwest England sometimes, or that region in Greece where it's totally legal to ban women, or Saba and Friends, who are part of the Netherlands and so should be part of the EU but aren't, or the Faroe Islands, upon which while citizens of Denmark live, they lose their EU citizenship, and on it goes. These asterisks almost never end, but this video must.
Wow, that was short, complicated, and in some aspects confusing. But it would be hard to have especially a union, especially with territories, and a lot of these countries fought to get these territories, or bought these territories, or got it given to them by treaties. They're not going to want to give it up. So then, where do they fall in the whole situation? I guess I'm going to have to watch a more in-depth explanation of the European Union in order to understand it anymore. I'm going to leave a link in the description for this video. You all go check it out. And like I said, check out this channel. They have some cool stuff going on there. You know what I mean? And as usual, I'm really glad that you guys are watching this with me. You know what I mean? Especially since you're all going to comment down below and explain certain things to me so I could learn. So we could learn, all right? Y'all take care of each other. Cool runnings.